All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, so my name is Brian, and I'm a professional real estate photographer here in the Northwest. I shoot all up and down, everywhere from Marysville, even sometimes north of Marysville, all the way down to Tacoma. And obviously, if you know anything about the Northwest, it rains and it's cloudy all the time. And so I'm asked to do this Herculean task of replacing the sky on a lot of exteriors of the houses that I shoot. And so, I get asked to do this all the time. And occasionally my clients take it into their own hands and they do things like, paint the sky. And so I wanted to take a moment and show you how. So I'm going to jump right in. So you can do this round trip from Lightroom. So I'm going to do this with this particular photo. And if you look up to the left here, you can see there's a whole bunch of little wispy tree branches. That tends to be problematic for people that try to use some of the old school tools like the wand selector in Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and right click this, and if you want to just ignore all the sounds in the background, there's actually the sky is falling. So yeah, there are big chunks of snow that are hitting a tin roof. So edit in Photoshop 2019. I'll try not to get too distracted by the sounds of the rain and large chunks and falling objects on the sky, from the sky onto the roof. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to move over here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy here. So Command J, if you know Photoshop. Oh, it's still reading the camera raw format. I've got a two-screen thing going on here, so if you don't see stuff that's happening, I'll try to explain. So in the background on my other screen, I actually have got I've got a whole bunch of blue sky with clouds, stock photos that I insert. There's just a handful I've found that work really well. So I would recommend definitely going to Envato, E-N-V-A-T-O, and signing up for Elements. Elements.envato.com is the website address. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so from here, you don't really need to change this from background. You just need to go Command J and to create a copy. We're just going to basically leave that background for good in case we screw up or something, but whatever. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. Let's bring this over here so you can see what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these blue skies. Whoop, there it goes. That is the sky falling. All right, so let's drop that in there. And basically, once we start erasing the sky, I want to make sure that everything is erased properly. Okay, so double click there, drop that in, and now I'm going to sandwich that between the two. Okay, so now we're going to go back to layer 1, our top layer, and we are going to hit the letter E on the keyboard. And this is going to drop for me right into my background eraser tool. Okay, so discontiguous is the way that I usually roll with this. That means if two sections are not touching, it will still erase them if they're the same color. Tolerance, this is how far from the original color it's going to go in erasing. So if you had this all the way up, it might erase, blues into greens. If you had it all the way down, it's going to only erase just the closest hue to the one that you're doing. So I usually have it set somewhere in the 20% range. That seems to be pretty good. So from there, you can see we're already erasing. I'm going to Command Z that. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, forgive me. I don't know anything about PC shortcuts. I'm going to right click. I want actually a bigger eraser tool because we've got quite a bit of sky in this one. Hardness. I also want to reduce the hardness here because I don't want you to see the rough edges. Okay, so away we go. So the way that this works, if I hold Option and up roll my mouse, or Command plus, you can see we can zoom in here. Once I let go, you can see the little crosshairs there. With the crosshairs, it's going to choose whatever pixel is in the crosshair, and that is going to be the target of your eraser tool. So let's just start. So from there, you can see it is basically erasing everything that is underneath. Right. Okay. So that's pretty cool, but you can see there's a bunch of stuff that it's not getting. So I'm going to go ahead and just roll over this whole thing. And this is the fun part. It's like finger painting in school or something. I don't know. I guess that's probably a thing people do, right? Okay. And I'm going to keep trying to grab onto some of these little sections where it's obvious there's some lingering cloud cover, as there is in Seattle in the Northwest. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to actually grab even bigger because I just want to swab over this thing. Okay, so for our purposes, we don't have to be perfect. I mean, we all want to be perfect, right? But it doesn't have to be totally perfect. Now, one of the hardest things to get perfectly or to get good is these little edges around here. So oftentimes, I will zoom in, and once I get most of that stuff, I don't, for real estate photography, you don't have to actually, it's not like it's not like this is going to get printed and go on a billboard. It's going up on the MLS. If you really wanted to get down and dirty, you totally could do that. I don't get that detailed. Frankly, I just don't make enough money for it, but if you want to, you can do that. So basically, I just want it to look better than average. I want people to go, oh, hey, that's pretty okay. So let's zoom back out. Now, usually a quick way that I will sometimes deal with looking at these little like white edges around this, I'm going to create a copy of this of what I've done just as a backup, and I'm going to hide the old one. And you can still see there's a bunch of stuff here. I might actually just turn over to the eraser tool, and where there's no other background to save, just get some of that stuff. Yeah, that's fine. I'm feeling like Bob Ross here, painting around the happy little trees. Okay, I'm gonna grab this blur tool, and we're gonna make it bigger. And I'm just gonna blur the little trees, the happy little trees. And I find that does a pretty good job of making those little hard white edges look a little less abrasive. Now, one of the other tricks that I have here is to simply pull the sky. If you have some wispy trees like that, just pull the clouds up somewhere. And that might require, in this case, Control T. I'm going to transform, make this a little bigger if I want to do something like that. If there's too much white around those tree edges, because, frankly, I just don't have the time to really make those go away. Okay, so I can still see some junk over here. So I want to go back to my background eraser, make sure I've got my, I'm working on my microphone technique here. All right, so that looks pretty darn good to me. Now, this whole image is looking a little flat, so just because I want my stuff to look the best, I'm going to go ahead and throw some curves on here, give it maybe a little bit of contrast. And this way, one sort of added benefit here is that it will help sort of even out the overall look. There we go. It's not much. Just kind of balances it out a little bit for me. Okay, sometimes I'm gonna go a little bit more, I want a little more contrast or something, but I actually don't want to go too heavy on this photo. Mostly I want to make sure that that background and the foreground look good together. I do have other blue skies that I sometimes will throw in there. But anyways, so now from here, you want to Control S or just Command S to save. Give it a sec. You can see it saving down there. Now I'm going to move back over and give it a minute. Bada bing, bada boom, boom. There it is. Now from here, you can see that I've got a brand new set of Lightroom controls that don't have any of the original settings that I had set. Down on my whatever this is, my library timeline selection, whatever. You can see 51 here is the original file, and then 50 is the edited file. So I still do have the original file in Lightroom if I want to go and do something else to it, and I can also quickly A/B the two. And you know, frankly, I think for how quick that was pretty good. So I might do a couple little things. I might sharpen it or something before I export, and that is about it. Might soften it, maybe just a hair, give it a little bit of that like special glow that some real estate agents like. Bada boom, bada bing, and then we can go back down and export. All right, guys, that's all for now. Tune in next time for some other random thing that hopefully will help you be better at whatever you do. Cheers.